welcome back to Saph Reacts, and this is part 8 of my Take Me Back to Eden discussion and reaction, and this is the Apparition. This is another one of my favorites. I really love this song. I think it's fantastic. A couple of my favorite lyrics come from this song, so without further ado, we are going to dive right in. Enjoy.
Why are you never real? Whenever you appear, you leave me with that grace. I am trembling with fear, but I know that you will disappear. Just as I awake, a whisper in my ear. Well, I believe that somewhere in the past, something was between you and I, my dear.
I'm just going to pause real quick. I don't know what it is in the background, but that distorted kind of sound in the background kind of reminds me a little bit of like a fairground or something like that, like a carnival or something. But it's beautiful, but it's also kind of creepy.
It remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this scar will never fade.
I love that.
The most of the turning tide. It just split what's left of the burning silence. Don't wait, 'cause this could be the last time you turn up in the reveries of my mind. Or wake up to a suicide frenzy. Loaded dreams still leave me. I believe somewhere in the past,
So smooth.
something was between you and I, my dear, and it remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this wound will never heal. Why are you never real? This shifting states you follow me through. Just let me go. Take me
Yeah, chills every single time watching that. Every single time. There again, that I don't know what it is, but I really love it. Oh, it's so good. So good. Uh, I don't know what it is about that song. I don't know if it's the synths or the. It's just. I don't know. Me too. Me too. I have my days where I don't even think about my ex-wife, and others exactly wish I was a robot and could remove my heart and just throw it in the trash. Yeah. Don't. Please don't. It's a good heart and you need it. Ugh. All right. So I think I know why it's such an emotive song. Um, my my analysis of it anyway. Strap in for this one, chat. It's going to be a bit of a ride. It honestly, it feels like a bit of a fever dream to me, this song, in the best possible way, but that's just how it makes me feel. And it's like he's finally begun separating himself from this other person, but they're haunting him now. They've invaded his dreams. When he wakes, he realizes that they're no longer real, and he feels despondent and sad. Because when he sleeps, he's dreaming of this person, it feels right and it feels good. But when he wakes up, he knows that the reality was much less of a positive, good memory. And he mentions that when he wakes, this other person, this dream whispers in his ear. And that brings me back to Vor, actually, where he says that they're the voice in his head. Um, so even though he's begun the process of separation, there's still a part of him, and they're still giving him that little shred of hope by telling them that in the past there was something between them. He laments that this stays with him even now, remains like a scar that he can't get rid of. It's not going to fade, and he carries the memory of that person and how they treated him, and it just won't leave him. Um, the next part contains one of my favorite lyrics of all time ever. I don't know why this one hits me as hard as it does, but it does. Let's make let's make trouble in the dream world, hijack heaven with another memory. And it just makes me feel happy and sad at the same time. The idea that you can have such a close, healthy, please, relationship and bond with somebody that you can meet up with them in a dream and just go cause trouble in like a fun, happy sort of way. It's just so utterly wonderful, and I it's it's some it's something that I think a lot of people, myself included, want. They want, it feels very much like he wanted that deep kind of soul connection relationship, the kind where you look at your person and your very core says, there you are, I've been looking for you. But oh no, I've just made myself sad. um Unfortunately for him, this was not it, but I love that idea. I love the idea that you can have that connection with somebody, and when you say to them, see you in my dreams, you actually do. And I think that's quite wonderful. um I feel like it might reference astral travel perhaps as well, or maybe even tie in with the idea of them having some kind of digital world relationship as described in Ascensionism, and also for to an extent. There is a note of desperation here, though. The memories of this person are haunting him while he sleeps. They leave him feel empty and as though he's woken up feeling mentally and emotionally imbalanced in a frenzy that could lead him to do something drastic. And I have to wonder here, does he think that acting upon this suicide frenzy impulse would eventually lead him to being with this person permanently? Um, Now, this leads me back to Granite and the very, very clear car crash idea that I had. Did the other person, before I say this, when I said earlier on in this series that there is a point in this album that actually changed what I thought was happening, this is it. This is that point. Did the other person not survive? Was he the one that walked away and the other person wasn't? And the remainder of this album is his grief and his guilt over this, hence why they're now haunting his every moment. When he says, let's make trouble in the dream world, is he really saying that he'll do whatever it takes to be with them again, even if that means leaving his reality behind? And I mean, this is kind of reinforced later on when he says, no matter what I do, this wound won't heal. Why are you never real? The shifting states you follow me through unrevealed, just let me go or take me with you. He's desperately trying to move on with his life, but this person continues to haunt him, following him through his dreams, his waking hours, and he can't heal from it because they're everywhere he goes. He sees them in shifting states, in shadows, in mirrors, in reflections, and he can't let them go. So he's asking them to either give him that release and let him be free, or just let him be with them, even if that means he acts on his impulses. He's tried confronting this memory, this spectre of this person, and I think the dream world could also be a place where he feels safe enough to do that. It is that place of safety for him where he can confront his feelings and emotional ties to this person. And maybe this is the only place where he feels he can finally say goodbye to them and let them go. Ultimately, he wakes up still feeling empty. And the ending of this song where it fades out and back in, it to me, it just feels like waking up. It feels like that moment where you're right on the edge of being asleep and awake, that sort of very liminal space where you occupy both states. And this song actually feels very much like that, like he's living in that liminal space, that place in between sleeping and waking. And it feels as though he isn't certain if he wants to live in reality and finally start moving on from this person, or whether he wants to just give in and live in his dream world with them. If you put the song on repeat, this is given a little bit more weight from the intake of breath you hear right before the opening lyric. By the end of the song, he's waking up and he takes that sharp intake of breath and asks his apparition, the memory that haunts him, why aren't you real? Why aren't you here? Where did you go? I feel like a lot of the album is connected to Granite. Me too. Seeing them in the dream world is the only way he can be free. Wake up to a suicide frenzy makes way more sense. Yeah. It's when I was writing this analysis, and I think the apparition was one I did on Friday. When I was writing that, and because as I'm writing each analysis for the song, I have the song on repeat, and that's how a lot of the ideas came to me, is because I was just immersing myself in these songs. And it wasn't actually until the end and that intake of breath at the beginning before he starts singing that it kind of hit me. And once that idea kind of took hold in my head, I couldn't get rid of it. And I just thought, oh, oh, that's what that is. Oh, like, um, it's the way they've interwoven everything to make you think. This is where I say listening to their music is an experience. It's and I fully agree with what you said. You don't just casually listen to this band, you immerse yourself in it. You absolutely do. um but yeah, I think, and I mean, Granite is such an early track as well, but I feel like if Granite had happened later, it would not have the weight it does. So I for me, I couldn't work out why that song was hitting me as hard as it was until that idea solidified in my head. And I think that's why, because he was the one essentially left behind, and he feels guilty, and he can't let them go because of that. So that is my analysis of the apparition. Do please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, whether you agree, whether you disagree, what your interpretations are. I absolutely want to get a discussion, because that's one of my favorite songs on the album. It's fantastic, and I'd love to get a discussion going on this. Absolutely. We will move on to Do You Wish That You Love Me? And that will be the next episode up. So I will see you all there. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you all next time.